Having control the sitting posture. Sati. Anam. Tapya. Raising. Down. Nabi Chakrita. Circle in the navel. Gradually. Breathe in the heart. Tapya. Raising. Diya. With the intelligence. To receive towards the pulmonary passage. Having been placed. Antat. Through the throat. Bow of the eyebrow. To the middle. Nindita. Blameless sati. Anayat. Raised.
First of all, she sat in the required sitting posture, and then she carried the life air upwards and placed it in the position of equilibrium near the navel. Then she raised her life air, mixed with intelligence, the heart, and then gradually toward the pulmonary passage, and from there to between her eyebrows. Purport: the yogic process is to control the air passing within the body in different places called Shat Chakra, the 6 circles of air circulation. The air is raised from the abdomen to the navel, from the navel to the heart, from the heart to the throat, from the throat to between the eyebrows, and from between the eyebrows to the top of the cerebrum. That is the sum and substance of practicing yoga. Before practicing the real yoga system, one has to practice the sitting postures, because this helps in the breathing exercises, which control the airs going upwards and downwards. This is a great technique which one has to practice to attain the highest perfectional stage of yoga. But such practice is not meant for this age. No one in this age can attain the perfectional stage of such yoga. But people indulge in practicing sitting postures, which is more or less a gymnastic process. By such bodily gymnastics, one may develop good circulation and may therefore keep one's body fit. But if one simply restricts oneself to that gymnastic process, one cannot attain the highest perfectional stage. The yoga process, as described in the Keshav Shruti, prescribes how one can control his living force according to his desire and transmigrate from one body to another or from one place to another. In other words, yoga practice is not meant to keep the body fit. Any transcendental process of spiritual realization automatically helps one to keep the body fit. For it is the spirit soul that keeps the body always fresh. As soon as the spirit soul is out of the body, the material body immediately begins to decompose. Any spiritual process keeps the body fit without separate endeavor. But if one takes it that the ultimate aim of yoga is to maintain the body, then he is mistaken. The real perfection of yoga is elevation of the soul to a higher position, or the liberation of the soul from material entanglement. Some yogis try to elevate the soul to higher planetary systems, where the standard of life is different from that of this planet, and where the material comforts, lifespan, and other facilities for self-realization are greater. And some yogis endeavor to elevate the soul to the spiritual world, the spiritual Vaikuntha planets. Bhakti yoga process directly elevates the soul to the spiritual planets, where life is eternally blissful and full of knowledge. Therefore, Bhakti yoga is considered to be the greatest of all yoga systems. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manohistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Bhati Shapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Vijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lolita Sri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vanchakolpadurupyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Govindinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kritva Samanav Anilo Jidasana Prodhanam Uttapya Janabhi Chakradaha Janayarvidi Stapya Yodasi Stitam Kantad Bruvor Madhyam Aninditanyat. Sati has seated herself facing north and dressed in saffron, signaling that she's preparing to leave her body by the yogic process. That yogic process is described in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada vividly describes it in Easy Journey to Other Planets and in several other places. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the fourth chapter, Pane Juvati Pranam Prane Panam Tatapare Pranapana Gati Rupa Pranayam Upare Niyatahara Pranam Prane. So this is one of, there are different kinds of sacrifice described in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Well, this is one of the methods. Apara Juvati Pranam Prane Panam Tatapare. There are different airs traveling in the body. Prabhupada summarizes. The apana air goes downward, the prana air goes up. So the pranayam yogi practices breathing the opposite way until the currents are neutralized into puraka, equilibrium. Offering the exhaled breath into the inhaled breath is called rechaka. When both air currents are completely stopped, one is said to be in kumbhaka yoga. So this is all mechanical. It's a pneumatic system. The body is working with airs moving this way, moving that way. When you're raising your eyelid, there's air at work making that happen. Very much of the bodily activity is controlled by a sort of pneumatic. And the life air is the center of all this. So in the yoga system, one gains control of this. Right now we have hardly any control. We can hold our breath. Hold your breath and count to 10. You can hold your breath a little bit. But really controlling the breathing exercise, the breathing process is not possible for the ordinary person. But the yogis could do it. They would practice, first of all, austerity in their life. What is that? Shucho de she pratishtapya, stiramasana atmanaha. They would go off to a sacred place and put a deer skin on a soft cloth and kusha grass and sit alone in upright posture. Brahmachari, Vitestita, observing complete brahmacharya. So in this way, they would prepare. And then they could practice these breathing exercises, which was not just an exercise, but a process of controlling the movements of the air. So that, yes, by practice, they could reverse the directions in which the air was going and finally reach equilibrium, which would mean that their breathing would stop. Therefore, we read about yogis meditating underwater for thousands of years. If you stop your breathing, you can do that. Our problem with being underwater is that we run out of breath. Some of the magicians, they could control their breathing to some extent. The celebrated Houdini comes to mind. He could do these amazing feats, staying underwater for a long time, because he had some control over his breath. But that's small time compared to what the yogis could do. He could only stay underwater for a relatively short time, locked in a coffin. But he would have to breathe breathe finally. But the yogis could control their breathing. So we get Dhruva Maharaj, who controlled his breath so powerfully that he could stop his breathing process, and the whole universe, the breathing of the whole universe was stopped. That's yoga. That's the power of genuine yoga. And then when the breathing is controlled, one raises the life airs through the different chakras, the circles of energy, finally brings it up to the top of the head and leaves the body for his desired destination. So this is not anything like they're doing on 53rd Street or wherever. Young girls in leotards wanting to look better and improve their health. That's not what this is about. But yes, they could do these things. That's described also in the 8th chapter. We talked about it yesterday. Ruvor madhye pranam avesha samyak satam param purusham upayati divyam. Yeah, we discussed this verse yesterday. They could bring their life air up to Ruvor madhye, between the eyebrows. And then they could go further, the life air to the top. And then according to their determination, they could go to the higher planets if that's what they have in mind. It's not that everyone who practices this yoga is a pure yogi. Hiranyakashipu also underwent austerities and holding the breath and so on. One can do these things for demonic purposes. Holding our legs like that. Yeah, good. Oh, it's a little harder. So even the demons knew how to practice these yogic principles for their own purposes. Or even the pious would practice them with the idea of going to heavenly planets. Those who are childish. In spite of mastering the yoga system, would go to the higher planets. Gata-gatam, kama-kama. And then others would want to go to the spiritual. And because their minds were so fixed, that's also counted as a principle within, as a process within devotion. The whole thing is devotional service. Without devotional service, one may accomplish great things by yogic power, but one can't go back home. But the devotees can go either by practicing this yoga system or in the present age by chanting the holy name of Krishna. As usual, the materialists want to appropriate everything for material sense gratification. So yes, we're interested in yoga, but for sense gratification. When asked to take part in bhakti yoga, not so keen. or they'll pay money to sit and learn postures and breathing exercises. Because the body is more important to them than the soul within the body. But the devotees save their money, and that's one thing, because they don't need to take instruction in these things. These austere practices are not required of the devotee, or not austere, but popular processes also not needed. Devotees chant the holy name, and for exercise they dance before the deity and distribute books, and so they keep good health. But more important, they attain the real perfection of life, which is the purpose of yoga. Okay, I can say more, but maybe I'll stop. Mm. Mm. Mm.
So, by offering courses in yoga in our temple,
Well, I'm not going to talk very much about tactics. Some temples offer courses in yoga and so on. I know that in Taiwan, that's the main way they've made devotees over the years. In culture there, they find difficult to penetrate, but they found that they've been successful over the years by offering courses in yoga. From yoga, people graduate to consciousness. So, there you are. On the other hand, we can waste a lot of time teaching people yoga, and they don't go beyond yoga. They don't go beyond the bodily preoccupations, and rather we become preoccupied with all the ins and outs of yoga and becoming certified yoga teachers and dance training and this and that and the other thing. So it may or may not succeed. It may or may not succeed. Like so many other indirect methods. You know, we'll teach you this, or we'll teach you that, or we'll teach you this, in hopes that you'll see a connection there, or we can make a connection there with Krishna consciousness, and you'll become a devotee. So I don't, not what I do, but I don't want to say much about others who are doing it, because they're the ones who will know whether it's, or they won't know, but at least you'd have to see it. You know, what are we getting out of it? Maybe we're just making money. All right, that may be useful. Teach you courses and what have you, and it pays the rent for the temple. That may be enough in itself. Or people actually graduate by association of devotees. They can be brought along, and that becomes like an introduction. Or it's basically a waste of time. Nothing really develops this way, that way, or the other way. Really get us money, people don't really become devotees. We waste a lot of time in yoga that we could more profitably spend, more usefully spend in distributing books or doing chanting. So I don't want to just sit here in the Brooklyn Temple and tell people what their preaching strategies should be. They'll have to decide these things. Not for me to sit here and decide how everyone all over the world should spread Krishna consciousness. Do it this way, do it that way, don't do it. I have my own say the opposite. Some result is coming. That's a long way of saying no comment. Jiva Goswami, what? Prabhupada said Jiva Goswami is the greatest of philosophers. He studied philosophy in Benares, I believe, became expert in Nana Shastra Vicharana, reference to Shastra. And his most celebrated work are the Satsandarbhas. Sandarbhas are like treatises, books, basically. There's the Tattva Sandarbha, Krama Sandarbha. In this way, 6 Sandarbhas. 6 treatises, very systematically laying out the philosophy. In the beginning he begins with what we call epistemology, which is a fancy way of saying what are our sources of knowledge. And he shows the disadvantages of various methods of getting knowledge and of relying on various scriptures for getting knowledge. And finally, he demonstrates that the best source of knowledge, the best of all scriptures, is Śrimad Bhāgavatam. You have to start with epistemology because otherwise, I'm quoting an authority that you don't accept or that I haven't shown to be authoritative. You know, I'm sitting here, I'm quoting Bhagavad Gita, I'm quoting Devi Purana, I'm quoting Guinness Book of Records, whatever it is. But I haven't demonstrated that these are reliable sources for getting understanding. So Jiva Goswami begins by establishing that the best of all sources of knowledge is Śrimad Bhāgavatam. And from there on in, he's entitled to cite Śrimad Bhāgavatam as the basis for so much philosophical. Our Gopi Pranadhana Prabhu translated Tattva Sandarbha, and now other devotees, I think, are working. There are different editions out there. I confess I haven't read them, but they're there. And we hope that at some point he will publish all of the Sandarbhas of Srila Jiva Goswami. There's some controversy also concerning Srila Jiva Goswami because he at one point presented the dealings of Radha and Krishna in Swakiya Ras. Swakiya Ras means the relationship between man and wife, husband and wife. But the general presentation of Radha Krishna Leelas in Parakiya Ras. Srimati Radharani is married to someone else, and still she's devoted to Krishna. So, Jiva Goswami writes about the marriage of Radha and Krishna. And then he's criticized, because this is the nature of the world, that even those who are, in generally speaking, the same on the same spiritual path may criticize one another, even up to criticizing someone like Jiva Goswami. So, Jiva Goswami was criticized, but Srila Prabhupada explains that he presented this Swakiya Ras for neophyte devotees so that they were disturbed. Oh, Parakiya Ras. But he upheld Parakiya Ras, not Swakiya. Another charge made against him has to do with a conquering pundit. And now we have sports matches, World Cup and soccer matches, and cricket matches, and all of that. But back in the days of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there used to be competitions in debate, in intellectual matters, in poetry, and so on. So we have Keshav Kashmiri coming to Navadvip basically to conquer all the other pundits. He was therefore called Digvijay, the conqueror of all directions from Kashmir. So it was, and it would be a big thing. Now we want to see some heavyweight boxers in a smoke-filled auditorium. But in those days, this was a high form of competition. So one pundit came to Vrindavan and he challenged Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. So they just signed his paper. I've been defeated. Now, just move on. We're doing our bhajan now. He's defeated. Lost. So then the pundit came next is Jiva Goswami. And he showed the paper, I've defeated your uncles, because he was the son of Anupam, who was the third of the three brothers, Anupam and Upasanatan. So I've defeated your uncles, so now I'm ready for you. So Jiva Goswami basically beat the pants off. They defeated him. So then the criticism is that Jiva Goswami was proud, that his uncles were humble, but Jiva Goswami was very proud. And in fact, he was excluded for some time on against the principle. But later he convinced them that Vaishnava life means to be kind to all jivas. So then he was, all right, that's accepted. But Prabhupada said he was right. His point was not to establish his greatness, but to defend the reputation of Rupa. Anyway, these criticisms will always go on. So there's a third one too. Oh, but Kaviraj Goswami. Kaviraj Goswami written Chaitanya Charitamrita, threw it in the well. And Kaviraj Goswami. So this, even before the internet, this stuff was going on. The story has no basis, but stories don't have to have a basis. You can just start telling pretty soon. Truth. acharyas reject all of these criticisms and glorify devotion and learning and the books he's contributed. Yeah, that's said it. Prabhupada resided at the Radha Damodar temple. The deity of Radha Damodar was installed by. And the Goswamis used to meet there at that temple. Krishna Katha. Goswami said. Goswami. And of course, Prabhupada's contributing Vaishnava literature. Coming in the line of Goswami. Yes, so much to say. And so much to read. Really to appreciate Jiva Goswami means to read his work. So in the beginning, we're not going to join the temple and start reading Jiva Goswami. But we're meant for that. To read Prabhupada's books and to read books by our Purvacharyas previous. Handed down in reliable fashion. Arrangement. Yes.
This section we talk about sati quitting her body.
Slower. Slower. Sati quitting her body.
Yes.
Sati is what? Is she a jiva with a material body? She's no, she's not a jiva. She's the consort of Lord Shiva, and she's the form of Durga, the Bhagiranga Shakti, goddess of the material energy. But still, she's performing this pastime, giving up her body. Yes. So where do we stand on debating? Is it something we shouldn't do because we're humble? Is it something we should do because we're defending? It goes both ways. Sometimes we just let it go, especially when people are just time wasters. You want to distribute books and they want to get you into an argument. So you spend 3/4 of an hour arguing with them, and they never admit defeat anyway. Meanwhile, there's so many people who could have gotten books but didn't. They engaged your time. something that book distributors learn, how to avoid people who just want to engage in debate and waste time, who have no intention of giving any serious thought. We're not open to a different understanding. We're just leading us on. Now answer this, now answer that. And then we become engaged in useless disputation. Nothing. One has to be careful of that. On the other hand, there can be debates or discussions where Krishna consciousness is strongly established. Sudutta Prabhu, on one skeptical atheist, Abraham Kavur, in Sri Lanka, who was preaching, he had a scientific background, the gospel of reductionism comes from chemicals. And he was a learned person, credentialed scientist. And Natsadutta challenged him, and I think offered, I forget how much, $6,000 or something. If Dr. Kabur could, do you know how much? Anyway, offered a good sum of money if Dr. Kabur could produce life from chemicals. You're talking about it, but you do it. And of course, he couldn't. And there was some back and forth there. One would publish a challenge, and the other would counter-challenge, and so on. And Dr. Kabur came out lost, really. I don't think there was a formal judge, but he came out badly, and Natsadutta basically trounced him. So the Prabhupada was very pleased. That was in Vrindavan during the Prabhupada was in Vrindavan last year. And when Natsadutta did that, Prabhupada debate, challenge them. You can't. And at other times and just another thing, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also he argued in Mahayamanis, but he did it in such a way that he wasn't arrogant. Many people are when they argue. He took the humble position. Heard them out and defeated them. So that's also just to give a lot of arguments without understanding what the other person is saying. Also, our Vaisheshika Prabhu is expert on this point of what he calls leaving the atmosphere clean. That is to say, not that we defeat someone and then march off in a chariot of false ego. Yeah, we defeated them. But even when we defeat someone, still being gentleman about it, and trying to do it in such a way that we don't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after defeating the Keshav Kashmiri, it just trounced him. So many arguments. You've written this verse, which is all rubbish. Not all rubbish. It has these very nice things, ornaments and beautiful things about it. But it's got. First, he asked him, "You please tell me what are the good points and the bad points of this verse." good points and flaws in this verse you've composed. So the Pandit said, no, there are no bad points, no flaws, but here are the good points. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu analyzed the verse and found several errors in composition, most deadly of which was Bhavani Bhartu. You've spoken as of Lord Shiva as Bhavani Bhartu. Bhavani means Parvati, wife of Lord Shiva. So you've spoken as, to glorify Lord Shiva, you've called him Bhavani Bhartu. So, but it's a flaw because what does Bhavani mean? Bhavani means the wife of Bhava. Bhava's Lord Shiva. So Bhavani is the wife of Lord Shiva, and you've written this verse about the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva. The husband of the wife of Lord Shiva. Like if today you were to say the husband of the wife of Joe Biden, or any big person, it does sound very strange. It makes it sound like Lord Shiva, like Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, has another husband. She's already the wife of Lord Shiva. So when we speak of the husband of the wife of Lord Shiva, no, that's no good. And the Keshav Kashmiri had no comeback. He couldn't say it. And it was totally silenced. And then he went back and came to his goddess, Saraswati, never let me down. You've always made me victorious. Now what's happened? No, he's my Lord. I can't. Nothing I can do for you. You can surrender, that's all. So he admitted defeat. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, oh, that's all right. Even Kalidas has some imperfections in his composition. Kalidas is known as the greatest author of Kumara Sambhava. Big dramas, Kalidas among dramas. So like Shakespeare. So he tells, that's all right, even Kalidas has mistakes. So in this way, very gentle. Even Krishna, he trounced Kaliyanag, and then, don't mind, I had to do it because I have to protect the village, but please don't mind. So in this way, to be gentle also. On the one side, to be ready to smash the atheists, the Mayavadis, and on the other side, Trinadapi, Sri. No. 9 o'clock. Thank you all very much. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.